Hi everyone, good morning, hello and welcome to the Virtual Village Hall. I hope you're really well today. I don't know about you, but I have had enough of winter. There doesn't seem like there's been many of those bright, sunny, cold, frosty days. There hasn't been enough of them to kind of make me feel good about winter this year. There's been a lot of kind of grey days, wet days, a bit sleety and just not much sun. But I have seen some evidence of spring, even if it doesn't feel like spring is just around the corner. It is just there. I don't know if you've noticed in your garden or maybe on your walks around, these lovely little snowdrops just poking out the earth, that lovely little pop of colour on that dark brown black earth. So to cheer ourselves up today, we are going to be drawing snowdrops. So we're just going to do some sketching, we're going to do a little bit of painting and a little bit of pastel work. Now this session isn't about buying lots and lots of new equipment. I have put some suggested equipment and materials in the caption, but it's more about just kind of loosening up, just having a go at doing some art. Even if you don't necessarily feel you're very good at art, I'm going to try and give you some hints and tips to kind of make it a little bit easier for you. Also, as I said, don't go out and buy lots of new stuff. You've probably got a lot of stuff around your house that you could use. We're going to be using pencils, you could use biros, ink pens, any sort of paint apart from oil paint. So you can use acrylics, you could use watercolours, just inks as well, drawing inks, something like that. And when it comes to the colour that we're going to be using, you could use oil pastels, chalk pastels, even just pastels from your kids' craft box. Sorry, even chalks from your kids' craft box, just to give that a little bit of colour. Maybe some coloured pencils as well. They don't work too well, but if you want to have a go before going out and buying anything, then they would work absolutely fine. And as I said, just like something to draw with, like a pencil, biro, charcoal, even if you've got it. As I said, it really is about just giving it a go today. So snowdrops, aren't they beautiful? They're so delicate, and sometimes they have this beautiful scent as well. And it's really not until you sort of get up and underneath them that you can see their true beauty. But we're going to start off with a simple little drawing exercise. No pressure, it's just to warm up. It's just like if you were doing an exercising at the gym, you do a little warm-up routine to start with, and that's what this is. It's about 4 minutes, and we're just going to sketch the snowdrop that you can see in front of you on the screen, hopefully, so it should be on your right. What I would like you to do is just take a piece of paper. So I've got my sketchbook here. Actually, no, we're not going to do that first. I want to prepare some of the paper. I'm glad I had a quick look through first. I will pop you down and then I'll explain a bit more about everything. I've even got it written on a note what we were going to do first as well. Okay. So let's take you up a little bit. Okay, so just to show you some of the stuff that we are going to do in today's session. So just a little bit of sketching. So here's some of the painting that we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of silhouette work, which I always think it looks a little bit sort of like Chinese brushwork. Love that. Really effective. And then we're also going to use some of those colours as well. As I said, pastels, chalks, oil pastels, pencils, that sort of thing. It might be a good idea as well, if you really like this technique, just to do some samples for yourself. So we're going to start just by preparing our paper with just some black watered down acrylic paint, but you might like to try various different things, sort of materials that you can go over the black so that they really pop. So for example, some here I've got chalk pastels, oil pastels, chalk pastels again in sort of different shades, Chinagraphs as well, they work really well, and acrylic pens like those Posca pens that you can get. First then we're going to prepare our paper, so find a piece of blank paper either in your sketchbook or just sort of get a scrap of paper. I love these concertina books. But when you've got a lot of stuff on your desk, they can prove a little bit of a pain. So just bear with me. I've got a lot of stuff out today, and water as well, and electrical equipment. So I'm going to try and be careful. Okay, so let's prepare our paper by grabbing a brush and some black acrylic. You could also do this with black watercolour. So I like to mix my black up with a little bit of water. Well, yeah, a little bit of water, but also a little bit of blue or red. The blue is going to give you a cooler black, and the red will give you a warmer black. So just a little bit of water, not too much, because we don't want it very watery. And if you're using watercolours, just sort of make it as pigmented as you can. Don't water it down too much. And then I just want you to paint. Let's bring this across for you. Too much out today, haven't I? And then I just want to paint you to paint just some little rectangles or squares. Don't have to be neat. Just getting it down on paper. That's all we're after, just getting something down on paper. I'm just going to do a couple more simply because I've got a bit of paint to use up and I don't want to waste it. I'll just do one large one. And you know, you might want to try some different samples with the paints as well. So do it so that it's thinner. Do different dark colours. You could also try using drawing ink as your base. Charcoal doesn't work too well just because it's, you know, it flies off quite easily. But have a go. You know, it's always really good to experiment. You might really love the effect. Okay. That's our paper prepped for one of our exercises later on. We're just going to prep another bit as well. Yeah, I'm going to regret using this concertina book, aren't I? Okay. So with this one, the one we're going to prep now is going to be for our sort of brush ink work. So I like to do it not on a sort of jet white black background. So I like to add a bit of colour so you can kind of see the contrast. So I'm going to take some drawing ink, acrylic ink. You can use watercolour for this, or very watered down acrylic paint. Just a tiny drop of it because this is so pigmented, this stuff. And so I just want to put this on my paper. Just use it up. I've got a couple of little ones to do there. So if you've just joined us and wondering why there's a snowdrop image on screen, and I'm clearly not painting snowdrops at the moment, what we're doing, we're just preparing our paper for some exercises that we're going to do a little bit later in the session. So we've got some black acrylic paint that we're going to put colours over. Like this. And then we've got some just colour washes that we're going to do some silhouette, sort of almost Chinese brushwork with. Okay, so we'll let them dry, and while that's drying, let's do a little warm up exercise just to get us loosened up. And also getting us looking at snowdrops and also looking at their shapes so we can really sort of get to know them. Right, so I just want you to take one of your pieces of paper, either in your sketchbook or just a piece of paper. Just position that so you can see it. And just take a pencil, charcoal, pen, whatever you like really. And what I want you to do is just spend a couple of minutes or a couple of moments just looking at that snowdrop, just looking at the shape of it. So it's kind of an elongated bell shape. That's the main shape. And then we've got these three main petals that there's two at the sides. One on the left is larger than the one on the right, and then there's one that's clearly set back. That's at the back of the plant. I'm not very good with plant details and botanical names to parts of the plant, but then we've got the bit at the top, which is possibly called the sepal, the green part, and then that's just attached to this stalk that comes over to the left, and it's a nice kind of smooth arch to the left. Okay, but what I want you to do now, rather than looking at your paper, looking at the image to draw, I just want you to look at the image and draw it. Okay, so we're just going to do this. So no looking at your paper, we're just drawing what we're looking at. It's easier if you don't lift your pencil off the paper, because then you can kind of have an idea of where you are. But it's just to warm up, and I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do this. So when you're ready, go. Okay, yeah, okay. So no masterpieces here. It's really just about those lines. I don't think I'm even going to need 4 minutes to do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna, so yeah, that's actually only just taking a minute. As I said, we're not after masterpiece, as you can see. So I'm just going to be looking at it now, and I'm just going to quickly fill in those parts. I've got some nice shapes. I love this shape here. See, normally no one can see this when I'm just doing this at home. So, but it's a really good looking exercise to get you noticing the shapes. And then when I kind of fill in the line, it's not too bad. It doesn't look too much different from the picture. That's what I'm going with anyway. Okay. Right, so we've got an idea of how we feel, how the shapes feel. They look like there's that water out the way. So if you're still drawing, please carry on, that's fine. You've actually got a couple of minutes if you need it. So I'll just turn this round so you can see it. There we go. So that's just our basic shapes. We were looking at the image while we're drawing, and then I just quickly went in afterwards and I just sort of lined all those bits up. And I quite like the simplicity of it. I can now start seeing those shapes, and you know, that would actually, I'm a print artist by trade, and that would actually make a really nice print. You know, most form of art starts with a sketch, with a drawing. So now we're going to, if you wanted to carry on drawing that, and you still think, well, I've still got 4 minutes, I've got a minute left still, please do feel free to pause if you're on replay, and you can yeah, just do that for the next minute or so. But if you are live and you're going along with me, then we can now get on to a sketch. So with this one, I'm going to allow you to look at your paper and also to look at the image. I won't time you, but I'd like you to work fairly quickly, please. And we're just going to look again at that image. So we've got those 3 petals, we've got the sepal at the top, and then the stalk that comes down. So I'm going to start by drawing the bell shape. So this petal here is actually a little bit further down. The one on the left is, the right is further down than the left. And then we've got our sepal, if that's what it's called. If someone wants to let me know what it is actually called, that would be brilliant. Down. So I've actually, that's, if we look at the petal, the stalk is actually behind that last petal. So either I've done the stalk too far out, or I haven't done the petal far enough out. And I think it's a little bit of both actually. So these are just some ways that you can sort out your composition. I mean, there's artistic license, obviously. That's, or there's the word rustic or organic. They're all great words. But if you're kind of looking to just get sort of an idea, I mean, you know, I'm not the greatest drawer in the world. I should have actually timed myself, because I am one of these people that, you know, I could just do a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. But having a timer, if you time yourself, it does really help, because it makes you make decisions. So that's, you can see that that petal's down there. The petal that's behind is slightly higher than this one, but definitely not as low as this one. And it's, the point is more over to the left than it is the right. And that probably comes up quite a lot higher. Just going to use a rubber just to get rid of that, because it's distracting me from the shape. And then we've got this kind of weird shaped petal in the middle. That probably comes down about halfway from this petal. There's probably a proper name, isn't there, for this sort of petal. And then this one's quite lined. And then we've got the shade here. Yeah, and so this is the point where I really do wish I had timed this, because I'm starting to kind of faff a little bit. There's a bit of shadow on the petal at the back. Got this green here, shadow here as well. And then just lastly, it's just a quick sketch. And then let's bring, which that's quite a bit thicker than I realised at first. I'm just going to put in these little ribs. And if you look at them, they're slightly curved. Giving the idea that this goes round. Okay, so just a very quick little sketch that we've done there. Again, it's great to just look really closely at something to work out where parts are in relation to other parts, and then just do a quick sketch from that. And then the more you look, the more you see. For example, with the stalk, at first I didn't realise quite how thick it was. So it's a really good exercise to do. So now we can go back to our prepared paper. And we're not really looking at detail with this. What I would like you to do is to more look at the shapes. I need to find another word for shape, don't I? Because I've said shape quite a lot in this session. So we're just looking at the shape of the leaves, and I'm going to click to the next slide. Hopefully it will work. There we are. So if you look at the shapes of the leaf, they kind of come to this sort of knife point. They're just really slim, tender. They go up and just kind of in a little bit of an arch, the start of an arch. The stems are fairly upright. Lots of them have these kind of little, again, I don't know the proper word for them, but this sort of extra bit of stem that comes off before it goes into the flower. Got this tiny little bit that connects the stem to the, I'm still using the word sepal, I'm not sure if it's correct. Before then we have the petals. And if you look across at the picture of the right, you can see that some of them look like they've just got 2 petals from the angle that they're at. Some look like 3, and then with some you can see the inside. Now, because we're not looking at detail, a great thing to do when you're doing this sort of drawing is just to squint, and that will show you the shapes rather and the tones, although we're not dealing with tone today and shadow, but it's quite good for that as well. That will show you the shapes rather than the detail. So as we're doing this, just bear that in mind. Again, take a pencil for this one. I'm going to move some stuff out of the way again. So just while you're getting your bits together. So I think I'm going to do this on a hopefully that will stay. No, let's drop that off the side. There we go. I'm not sure it's not. Okay, so I'm going to just do this. Yeah, just with a pencil. You could just do one of these if you want, one of the flowers if you want, or just a few. And what I will do, I will give us a time as well, because I think, you know, I was a bit naughty with the last one. I probably kind of kept going back to it, having a little bit of a play here and there when I really should just made some decisions. So with this one, we're going to start a timer again. So let's go for 3 minutes. See how we go with 3 minutes. Ready? Go. Okay, so just look at the composition. So I've got one, oh, this is still a little bit wet. Got one just at the side. If I come up, I've got 2 that cross over. So I'm just drawing circles. So I'm really just plotting my sketch. Got one that's slightly in the background, and then one here, and then one just below that. And there's some coming off the side, but I'll leave those. So I just want to, within these circles, I'm just going to draw the shape. So I'm just squinting so I can see those shapes. A little bit, and then the leaf of the stalk, I do know that name. The stalk comes down before we have a leaf here. So that's come over too far, but I'm just going to leave it in. I don't want to rub it out. That's fine. Let's just draw that in a little bit more for myself. Okay, this looks a little bit puddingy actually. How are we doing for time? Oh, a minute and a half left. Right, so I do need to really be quick now. And as you're doing it, try to be looking at the image rather than as much as you can of the paper. You should be looking more than you are drawing. And it's quite useful, that first exercise we did where, you know, we were just looking. And get some really good practice from doing that. Half a minute left. Okay. Oh, can't really say that one properly. There we go. And I just want to quickly get this one in before the timer goes off. 5 seconds. There we go, that's time. Okay. So stop there. I'm just going to quickly add in that little stalk. Okay, great. So that's our rough outline. Really, I'm going to regret using a concertina sketch pad, aren't I? So I'll show you. Right, okay. So let me show you the little outlines. Okay. So there's our little outlines. What we're going to do now is just colour the outside to really make them pop, those silhouettes. Now this isn't quite dry enough actually, so this might bleed, but I'm going to do it just to show you how you need to do it. If you find that yours is still a bit wet, either leave it for a bit longer or just give it a little bit of a hairdryer. Go with the hairdryer to dry that off before you do this bit. So I was going to use black ink, but I think that's really going to, I think that really will bleed. I'm just going to do a little test, and then I might use acrylic instead if this is a bit naughty and bleeds a bit, and I need to fill a brush. Let's just do a little test on the side. It's not terrible. There'll be a little bit of a bleed, but I think that's going to be okay. I'm not going to water this down. I'm just going to use it as is. And I won't time ourselves for this either, because our decisions have already been made. We've already done the sketch. So I'm just going over this wash. And what I'm going to do is just go either side of the stalks to leave the stalk sort of open, and then just go either side of the petals and leaves, and then colour in the rest of it. So I'm going to work kind of from sort of the top down to the right so that I don't smudge things. It's quite a nice one to do large as well. So to use much larger paper. So you just want to fill in those negative spaces. I'm not massively keen on the shape of that flower, but I made the decision and I went for it. Oh yeah, this is bleeding a little bit. You just see it's filled in that little spike. Yeah, it doesn't really look delicate enough to me. So these ones would be much better, I think. I always find this bit quite relaxing. It's like the hard work's done and you're just filling in the gaps. As long as you don't paint over the gaps. Like I've just done, I've just lost that stalk there. That's because I'm talking and not concentrating. So this session will be on the Virtual Visual Facebook page afterwards. So if you haven't got time, really got time to do it now, or you want to come back to it, then you can just visit Virtual Visual Facebook page and you'll be able to do it in your own time. Or you could save this video, just find the three buttons, the three dots, click on that, and then you'll be able to save it to your videos. Okay, there we are. Yeah, that has started to bleed a bit now, but I wanted to kind of carry on with the session. So there you go. There's your little silhouettes. They look really delicate here. I love these ones, although that one's still a little bit bulky for my liking. But yeah, they look all delicate, all popping out on a dark grey day. Okay, so the next it's not going to dry, is it, in time? We just pop that between there. So the next one that I want us to do, come this way, okay, is working off those dark backgrounds that we did initially, and we're just going to add some colour. So I've got some chalk pastels, but really you can use most colours. Pencils do sometimes work on here. You could even paint just using acrylic paints if you don't have any pastels, but even children's chalk will work. So just have a go, sort of maybe do a few samples first to see what works best, and then have a go, and I'll click you onto the next slide. So I love this one here because you've got this kind of it's sort of lit from the left, and it catches the light catches the petal on the left, the sepal, but also it gets the petal that lies just at the back, and you've got this shadow of the stalk. So I thought it was a really nice one to have a go at doing. So the great thing is we've done a few practices. We know those shapes of the snowdrops. So let's find some of that. That might be okay. Yeah, it's still pretty much, it's still fairly dry, I think. So we're not going to go do a sketch here. We're just going to go straight in with our pastels. And I think maybe Do you know what, I'm going to give us 5 minutes. If we only use 4, we only use 4, but I think it's good that we give ourselves a little bit of a time limit, or it's good that I give myself a little bit of a time limit, because I will just carry on and on and on. So 5 minutes, 4 if we need, or 4 minutes, 5 if we need it, starting now. Okay, so just spend the first couple of moments just looking at those shapes again. So this one's slightly different to that one that we sketched. And I've got my colours, I've got my dark green. I think I will need those 5 minutes. I've got sort of an acid green, kind of picking up little bits of blue in that as well. It's a very cold white. So there's blues that we might mix over the white. That's quite a bluey. And there. There's also a bit of yellow in that, in the light, isn't there? That's maybe a bit too dark. That one might work a bit better. And then obviously we need our whites and our greys. Great, probably should have done that before I started the timer, but that's okay. That's our first minute gone. Okay, and I think I'm going to do it this way up as well. I'm not very good at keeping things within the structure either, so I just need to try and stay fairly small. So let's just sketch this out first of all. We know it's that bell shape. Comes quite across that one. So when I'm drawing, although I tend not to talk out loud what I'm doing, but I do in my head sort of tell my I'm telling my hand what's happening on the drawing, or what I'm copying. Actually comes out a bit further, which is quite useful, sort of to keep a little bit of a running commentary. Obviously, if you're really sick of me talking and explaining, please do just put me on mute. I really won't be offended. And then this back petal comes down quite far, so we're at 2 minutes left now. Maybe a bit too far, but we've done it. Also this gap I haven't left quite wide enough. Let's just try and, I don't know if that's going to look odd if I try and work that one out. Yeah, that's not quite right, but that's fine. I'm going for it. It's possibly a little bit more elongated than the picture, but that's what we call organic. Okay, so we've got a minute just to put our colours on. So we've got this gorgeous light colour coming through here. And then maybe with a, do I have a grey? This could be grey. Yeah, that's a grey. And then this bit here is quite white. Darker. And then we've got the stalk. Oh, 30 seconds left. a nice spring green. Just a little bit of white. Okay, so the timer's just going off, but it's my workshop, so I'm going to finish this off. And I did spend the first minute looking at those colours, selecting the colours, so that's my excuse. Although I don't want to be too much longer because I like to, it's good to finish something. Again, that's a little bit too far out, but actually if the petals had been a bit further out, I think that would have worked. Okay, so then that's quite light there. Got the green. Yeah, this needs to come round. And now as I'm sort of colouring in, I am seeing all those sort of mistakes. Got blue in there. Darken that up. That goes right the way across. And I'm going to use blue rather than sort of a grey or black. It's quite a cold light. More grey. We've got a bit more green just in there. I just want to finish off the, oh, there's my other green. Just picking out the sun comes, hits it, you know. Just there. I'm just going to neaten up these petals because they're so crisp. That's okay. Cool. And there we go. So I can really see now, yeah, where I've gone wrong with the composition. I might actually just fill that in because I think it looks a bit weird otherwise. Artistic license, there you go. But there's just adding a little bit of colour, just really making it pop on that dark background. We've seen many dark grey days, so we know kind of how that all feels. So please do carry on with these exercises. You can always screenshot to use these images or just search on Google Images for Snowdrops. There are plenty of these around. All the images that I'm using today come from Pixabay, which is a license-free website that you get some great ones on there as well. Try it with smaller ones, try it with different types of materials, do some samples, make some more sketches, some more of these type silhouette sort of brushwork, really showing up the detail and the delicate nature of these beautiful flowers that really are a promise of spring on the way. And we really do hope that it is on the way. And I hope that today's session has just added a little bit of brightness to your day today. I know it has mine. It's been lovely to share that with you. So thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a like. Let us know in the comments how you found it. And if you do any of the exercises from today, we would love to see them. Snap a little photo and put it in the comments for us. So I will see you again next time. If you really enjoyed working with these flowers, and especially with the black backgrounds, just in a couple of weeks' time, I will be doing another artist in focus session with the Dutch still life painter Rachel Roysch, who, if you look up some of her work, she made the most exquisite, detailed or painted the most exquisite detailed flowers, often with many imperfections and insects, and we'll be looking at her work and doing some more these sorts of exercises. So I hope you can join me then in a couple of weeks' time. Stick with the Virtual Village Hall because you'll be able to see when that's coming up, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye.